everyone. Thank you for joining us on Weather Out West. I'm Savannah Welch, and here's what we're tracking for you today. So, a strong atmospheric river is pushing into the Pacific Northwest this week. We're hearing from our weather experts both in Seattle and Portland about potential flooding concerns, as well as other hazards to be aware of. An alarming discovery in Antarctica. A major glacier is disappearing, and it's melting faster than researchers have ever seen before. And after a major weekend storm in the Colorado mountains, avalanche danger is surging. We'll hear why people need to be careful in the backcountry. And are fresh-cut trees or reusable fake ones better for the environment? Experts let us know what to consider if we're hoping to have an environmentally friendly Christmas. Happy Monday and welcome to Weather Out West, the hour-long show here where we showcase what's happening weather-wise across the western United States. We begin today in Seattle, where an atmospheric river is bringing heavy rain and gusty winds to western Washington. Meteorologist Rich Marriott breaks down when the heaviest rain will hit and when the area might start to dry out.
And a happy Monday morning. I'm King 5 meteorologist Rich Marriott, and we started the morning commute off early today with actually dry roads out there. Not any longer. The atmospheric river was aimed up towards British Columbia overnight last night, but it's now dropped. It's now aimed at western Washington. And at mid-morning, you can see pretty much up and down that I-5 corridor. It is coming down in buckets. Still a little bit of rain shadowing going on to the north and east of the Olympics, and that will be the driest area probably over the course of the next couple of days, being in the lee of the Olympics there. But otherwise, we're looking at some heavy rain through the day today, though there will be a little bit of a break tomorrow during the day on Tuesday before we get another visit from the atmospheric river as we head towards Wednesday. You can see that little bit of a rain shadow trying to hold on there in southern Whidbey Island, but probably not going to succeed. Looking out this morning, looking very wet there along the Strait of Juan de Fuca. In fact, all of our cameras looking pretty wet this morning, and the wind just now beginning to pick up. We're going to see it really kick up as we head towards late morning into the afternoon, and we could see wind gusts in the 35 to 45 mile per hour range with that, just to accompany all that heavy rain we're looking at as well. And see, not that much wind quite yet, but it's on its way. Out along the coast, they're looking at some heavy rain this morning and through the day, and also some very gusty winds headed their way over the next couple of days. First of their weather days from Monday all the way through Wednesday because of the heavy rain and the chance for river flooding, standing water, etc. But there will be a little bit of a break on Tuesday before we get into a little bit drier pattern, not a dry pattern, but a drier pattern as we head towards the end of the week. Overall, what we're looking for during the next 3 days, strong winds out along the coast, several rounds of heavy rain, and they could pick up anywhere from 3 to 4 inches of rain during that time period. Around Puget Sound, not too different. We're going to be looking for periods of heavy rain, gusty winds primarily today into tomorrow morning, and then might be a little breezy on Wednesday again, but they get 2 to 4 inches of rain. And in the mountains, snow levels might drop to 4,000 feet briefly tomorrow, but otherwise they're going to be high all the way through, and they could pick up 6 to 10 inches of water up in the mountains in the next 3 days. It's the reason we're concerned about the flooding potential on the rivers. The Weather Service has a wind advisory out today from 7 a.m. this morning until 10 p.m. tonight, basically for all the lowlands of western Washington, and a flood watch is out basically for all of western Washington and down into Oregon. The only good news with this is the fact that it covers all this entire area is an indication that atmospheric river does not come to a stop and really stall. It seems to do that a little bit overnight tonight down there in Oregon, but over the state of Washington, it looks like it comes in today, drops southward, and then moves back up over us as we head towards Wednesday and finally just dissipates out there. I'll show you that more clearly in just a moment. This is the satellite image today, and you can see this long stretch of moisture from down there just at the latitude of Hawaii and just to the north of it and then straight up to us. This is what we used to call a Pineapple Express, but now we call it a strong atmospheric river because we have this direct connection to the moisture in the tropics coming straight up to us, which brings us a lot of rain and warm temperatures, the reason our snow levels are going up, and that's going to be the story for the next several days. If we look at the computer models, okay, so this is for today. You can see it's aimed pretty much at us, but as we head towards overnight tonight and tomorrow, that atmospheric river drops southward and is focused more towards western Oregon. But as we head on towards Wednesday, it lifts right back up into us, gives us another round of pretty heavy rain Wednesday into early Thursday, and then it looks like it finally just begins to dissipate as we head towards the end of the week. We'll still see a few showers, but that steady heavy rain should be pretty pretty much gone at that point. Take a look at our rainfall totals. So from now until tomorrow afternoon, so the coming 24 hours, you can see we're going to be picking up anywhere from about 1 to 2 inches of rain, which is quite a bit for Puget Sound. And then as we head through Tuesday, you see we don't really go up very much. It's fairly dry. We get a chance to drain the rivers a little bit. And then as we head on towards Wednesday, we start to accumulate that rain again. Up in the mountains, we're going to be picking up anywhere from that 5 to 10 inches of rain I was talking about before. As you can see, as we get on into Thursday, those rainfall totals approaching a foot there at Snoqualmie Pass. Take a look at the winds. As a matter of fact, as we're looking towards later on today, those winds will be picking up. We could see those wind gusts in the 35 to 45 mile per hour range up and down Puget Sound. And then as we head towards late tonight and early tomorrow, we will be looking for those winds to gradually diminish around western Washington. Temperatures today are going to be pretty mild. We're going to be looking for temperatures in the mid to upper 50s, might touch 60 degrees in some of the warmer spots potentially. And so today, the rain's with us. The wind is going to be coming for later this morning and this afternoon. As we head into tomorrow, we'll see the winds die off. We'll see that rain take a little bit of a break tomorrow, just a few showers around, and then it moves back in again late Tuesday into Wednesday for another round of heavy rain, and then showers begin to decrease as we head towards Thursday, and it'll be a little wet off and on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but nothing like what we're seeing there. And we're going to keep close watch on those river levels, and hopefully with that break on Tuesday, it'll limit how high those crests are going to be as we head towards later in the week.
You heard those phrases, atmospheric river and Pineapple Express, from Rich Marriott, but what do they actually mean? Our Seattle team explains and shows how they impact our weather.
Atmospheric river may sound like something new, but it's really just another name for the Pineapple Express. This is what we used to call the drenching warm rains that flow from just to the north of Hawaii. It turns out that the Pineapple Express is just one type of atmospheric river. Researchers in the 1990s determined that these narrow bands of moisture over the oceans constantly transport huge amounts of water from the tropics to the mid-latitudes where we live. These plumes of water vapor are narrow, usually only several hundred miles wide, but thousands of miles long, resembling a river in the sky. And these rivers are low in the atmosphere, generally less than 2 miles in depth, far below where jetliners fly. Despite being narrow, they carry unbelievable amounts of water. The largest atmospheric rivers may carry the equivalent of 2 Amazon rivers, almost 10 trillion gallons of water per day. Most of this water vapor stays in the clouds until it collides with land, like our west coast. Since all this water is low in the atmosphere, it's forced up over the mountains, and in the process, much of that water is dropped on the west-facing slopes. The most destructive atmospheric rivers are those that stall over one area and persist for days. These are the ones that can dump feet of rainfall and cause massive flooding and widespread landslides. However, weaker atmospheric rivers are important to our water supply. 30 to 50% of West Coast rainfall comes from atmospheric rivers.
The atmospheric river aimed at Washington is expected to move down into Oregon as well. Our Portland team breaks down the potential flood impacts and which areas could see the heaviest rainfall.
Hello, I'm meteorologist Chris McGinnis. We have KGW weather impact alert days for the next 3 days with the potential of 4 to 7 inches of rain in the Portland-Vancouver metro area between now and Thursday morning. There's a real risk of flooding, rising on area rivers, landslides, and also with some occasionally gusty wind that brings in the possibility of some down trees and down power lines. So the things you need to be prepared for over the next couple of days, not only the rising water, if you live in a low-lying area that is prone to flooding, now's the time to have your plan and start thinking about it. But additionally, to the standing water on the roads, you could help out by clearing storm drains. The threat for downed trees is real, given the fact that we've had a fair amount of rain. We're going to get a lot more rain and some wind. Any weakened trees could easily come down on power lines and put us in a situation where we're without power. So slides, power outages, and flooding are all in the cards over the next couple of days. Here's a look at radar right now. We've seen the rainfall intensity ratchet up just a little bit in the last little while. Over the last 3 hours, all of southwest Washington and northwest Oregon getting wet, even up in the Cascades. That's another story in just a second. The rainfall this morning has not been terribly heavy, on the order of a few hundredths of an inch per hour, but those rainfall rates are likely to increase a little bit as we go through the day today. Not only that, but the system that's driving this rain, the fire hose, that deep moisture plume, extends for miles offshore, and that fire hose will be pointed right at this region for hours. So think about a tenth of an inch of rain for hours and hours and hours. That's where we get these astronomical rainfall totals that are really off the charts in some cases. Rainfall potential in the Cascades and in the Coast Range on the order of 8 to 10 plus inches. And in the Willamette Valley, as we mentioned, less to the south, more to the north up the I-5 corridor. Right now, our modeling seems to focus on northern Clark, Cowlitz County, Wahkiakum County for some of the heaviest rain, but everybody here in this shaded area, the multicolored shading here, is going to get soaked over the next few days. We also have, of course, a flood watch for all of western Oregon and northwestern Washington, or northwest Oregon and all of western Washington through 4 a.m. on Friday. Even though the rain will be subsiding, we're going to be taking stock of area rivers and which ones have come out of their banks and which ones have come significantly out of their banks. Wind advisory in effect for the area shaded in this bay shade through early tomorrow morning. One of the other facets to this atmospheric river is the gusty south wind that's going to develop. And even though a 30-mile-an-hour wind gust doesn't sound all that impressive, maybe 40 at the coast, the fact that it's been so wet and it's going to continue to be wet, it doesn't take as much wind to knock over trees that are in loose soil or trees that are already compromised, right? So that's the danger then for down trees and also down power lines. Here's Futurecast, and again, that atmospheric river is just targeting the region throughout the day today. This afternoon's commute will be wetter than this morning's commute. Tomorrow's morning commute, there will be plenty of standing water out there on the roads as this first band of rain begins to shift south and dissipate, only to be replaced by a second shot of intense moisture here tomorrow afternoon through tomorrow night. So we put all that together, and we've got a very wet forecast over the next couple of days. Hence the KGW weather impact alert for today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. Despite the rain tapering off on Thursday, Thursday is going to be a day where we're going to need to take stock of area rivers and slides.
Welcome back. A warning from the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. This invasive Chinese mitten crab was recently spotted in Portland. This marks the second time the crab has been found in Oregon waters. The first one was found this past April, about 20 miles upstream from the mouth of the Columbia River near Astoria. That was the first confirmed sighting of this creature in the entire Pacific Northwest. These little invaders are a big problem. They compete with native species and can even cause erosion or impact flood control, since they're known to burrow into levees and stream banks. Biologists are now monitoring the Columbia and Willamette rivers to see how widespread the species has become. Coming up next here on Weather Out West, we'll continue our forecast tour through the Northwest and tell you about a reindeer that made a holiday escape. An unlikely escape artist turned an English Christmas celebration into a search operation. A reindeer named Buddy managed to sneak out of an event called Santa's Enchanted Forest. This was in Merseyside. This led to a large effort to get him back, including a drone search. But good news, Buddy's back home after rescuers finally spotted him on a nearby beach. All in all, he was on the run for a couple of hours before Coast Guard officers were able to catch up with him. Now turning to eastern Washington, where rain and gusty winds are expected to continue throughout the week. Nicole Hernandez brings us the latest on the weather alerts in effect.
I'm Nicole Hernandez in Spokane, Washington, and take a look at this, a live look over Silver Mountain. Snow is coming down. We don't have a ton of snow up in our mountains right now compared to maybe what it has been other winters, but this all, of course, very good news for those mountain resorts who are just eagerly waiting to open up more and more terrain. This is snow in the mountains, but here for us, it's rain. We are not nearly cold enough here to get any of that snow. So we have that warm and rainy weather today. Also high winds coming tonight, and then more rain on the way for the rest of the week. And that one, not just for us, also likely for the mountains. Let's start with that wind, though, because we are going to be under wind advisories tonight into tomorrow morning. This is going to be for all of eastern Washington and North Idaho. Starts at 7 p.m. tonight and then goes until 7 o'clock this morning. This is for high winds with gusts up to 55 miles per hour. They land pretty much across the entire region. These winds are coming in from the west and southwest and moving their way through very strongly. They're going to start picking up through the day, but the most impactful winds will be over that 12-hour overnight period. So if you're a light sleeper, be cautious of that. You're likely going to hear the wind howling and potentially even hear the damage from trees falling. The reason I mention that is because we've had so much rain over the past week, and we're even getting rain today, that our dirt is pretty wet and not very compact, so it's going to be easier for trees to fall with this wind. It's not crazy, like we mentioned, 45 to 55 mile per hour gusts, but with everything happening around this wind, there is that chance for some damage to come with it. The sustained winds are anywhere between 15 and 25 miles per hour, so just keep in mind that is going to be the case and going to impact you this evening into tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning is when they're the strongest, those winds, and then by the afternoon, things really start to calm down and go back to normal. As for the rain, we see a chunk of it today. Like I mentioned, that's going to help get the ground nice and wet before this wind, right? We have a decent bulk of rain that's going to move its way through. Tonight, it's going to calm down before the winds move their way in. And then Tuesday, we get a nice break. Tuesday, we get a break from the wind. We get a break from the rain. We're mostly just cloudy here. Doesn't last long, though. By Wednesday, we end up with more rain on the way. It starts as this rain in the lowlands and snow in the mountains, very similar to what we're seeing today. But as the day goes forward and we warm up, that rain, the snow in the mountains turns to rain in the mountains as well. Unfortunate for some of our resorts that are trying to keep their snowpack up, right? So we're extremely warm right now. Typically this time of year, an average low would be 25 degrees. Our low today was 41. Now we're 42, but so much warmer than normal for this time of year. It's the same for our high temperatures as well. We're going to end up potentially 50 degrees today. Our normal high temperature this time of year is 35. So because of the warm and the moisture, we end up with all of that rain. Again, that weather impact alert tonight and tomorrow. That's it for now for this week. Other than that, it's just kind of like fall-like weather for a winter day.
Over to the east in Boise, showers are expected to pick up today and continue through midweek. Tyson White breaks down the impacts and shows which areas could see the most rain.
Hi there, I'm Tyson White out here in Boise at KTVB, and we are taking a look at our Magic Valley forecast for today. This is going to be one of the areas that we don't see many impacts from a plume of moisture bringing in some rain to the Pacific Northwest as well. Temperatures here for daytime highs today expected to be in the low to mid 50s across the Magic Valley. Partly cloudy skies here. Gooding could see maybe a very spotty shower at best. Same thing goes here for the central mountain areas. Sun Valley, Stanley could see a rain-snow mix early on today and then switching over to rain later tonight. Fairfield and Haley, not really seeing too much, maybe a spotty shower or two, but really not expecting a whole lot of impacts today. This is the area, though, West Central Mountains. This could be the area where we start to see rain picking up today and continuing all the way through Wednesday, with some places like McCall seeing an inch and a quarter of rain total on top of the snow that's already been falling there. Temperatures in the mid to upper 30s here. Riggins going to be the warm spot there at 51 degrees. Rain showers expected for them as well. Western edge of the Treasure Valley could see a spotty shower throughout the early afternoon and into the evening hours out here. Temperatures in the mid 50s across the lower Treasure Valley. Here in the upper Treasure Valley, mid 50s here as well. A spotty shower or two across the area this afternoon into the evening hours. As those clouds increase, Idaho City could also see some splash and dash showers there too. It's all thanks in part to a system that's off the coast, and we'll get to that in a second, but I want to take a quick look at some of the cameras around the region. Snow falling there at Redfish Lake. That's going to turn to snow later on today and into this evening as well, as we see a really picturesque scene here. Here in the Long Valley, Smiths Ferry area near Cougar Mountain Lodge, things are a little hazy, or excuse me, a little foggy this morning with some rain showers pushing through this area as well. Here in the Boise area, we've seen some kind of ominous clouds throughout the morning as the sun came up, and we're seeing those clouds filtering back in again. It's going to start increasing as the day goes on. Here at May Marina over Lake Payette, we saw the clouds kind of hovering over the lake throughout the morning, and then we're going to see that kind of gray skies throughout the next couple of days as the system pushes in. Here's our storm chances for the next couple of days too. Rain chances, that is, up to about 65% here for the Treasure Valley through tomorrow. That decreases into Wednesday, and then we have another chance early next week, but models are still uncertain of whether that's going to be rain or snow, so we'll have to keep an eye on that as we get there. Like I mentioned, we do have first alert weather conditions for tomorrow, primarily for mountain locations. That's because we'll be seeing widespread rain as high as 7,000 feet, and above that 7,000 feet, we could see some snow showers, especially on some of the mountain peaks out there. But that rain will be falling below 7,000 feet on snow that's already fallen, so it's going to create some slushy conditions out there. Driving could be a little bit dicey in some of those mountain areas, especially along Highway 55 as well as Highway 95 too in some of those mountain areas. And then of course reduced visibility at times because we could be seeing some low hanging clouds with some of the fog and the rain in those areas. So make sure you get your headlights on. You're giving yourself plenty of time for driving out there. Space between you and the car in front of you too is going to be essential in these areas. Make sure you got your umbrella, boots, jackets out there, especially if you're sending kids out to the bus stop or out to school. They'll need that as they head out there. And don't forget to download KTV Plus. If you're not already watching us there, we'll have our live weathercast there on all throughout the day, keeping you updated on radars, live cameras, and of course our 7-day forecasts out there too. Here's what we could see in total. We could see 1.25 inches there in McCall. Same thing for Stanley. The bulk of the moisture in the central and west central mountain areas. The Treasure Valley, we can only see about 1/4 inch here in the Boise area from this storm. So we're really going to keep this moisture in the mountain areas. If we take a look at our 7-day forecast, those rain chances begin today and push through tomorrow. Again, that first weather day there with increased rain in the mountain areas. And then we warm up into the midweek, 60 degrees by Wednesday, drying and cooling by the weekend out there, especially for 7 Cares Day on Saturday.
A Colorado researcher has made an alarming discovery in Antarctica. A massive glacier is disappearing shockingly fast. We break down why when we come back. A Colorado researcher made a surprising discovery in Antarctica of one glacier had shrunk to half its size. What she found next has scientists worried about the future of the South Pole and our planet.
It's Earth's 5th largest continent, what we think of when we think the South Pole. Antarctica is entirely covered by an ice sheet. That ice sheet holds about 90% of the world's ice. Ice scientists and researchers study year-round.
One of them in particular,
Naomi Aquad, is one of those researchers.
Unlike anything I had seen. And that was Hectoria Glacier.
In 2023, Aquat recorded something never seen in modern history. While conducting a study on Antarctica's disappearing sea ice, she noticed the Hectoria Glacier, a glacier roughly the size of Philadelphia, had shrunk by about 50%. This time-lapse shows its demise.
Some of the warmest Antarctic summers on record are happening at the Antarctic Peninsula.
Warmer temperatures at the pole are causing changes in weather patterns, including unusual wind events. Those winds create strong waves. Those waves, in turn, break up the sea ice. And without the protective sea ice barrier...
And so if you remove that floating part, then the glaciers that are on the land no longer have this sort of barrier. And so they can speed up and go into the ocean.
The obvious concern, if this happened to one glacier, how many more will it happen to? And if that 90% of the planet's ice were to melt into the oceans, researchers worry just how destructive that sea level rise could be.
It is unsettling. It is a bit scary. And we don't know all the answers.
But they do have the pictures to show us all what is really happening at our South Pole, what will likely keep happening if we continue the track we're on.
We definitely need to come together and try to understand the rate at which the sea level is going to change and what processes control it, and how we can make a difference with our own carbon emissions and reducing our CO2.
Coming up on Weather Out West, we'll break down the forecast and recent snowfall over in Colorado. Welcome back to Weather Out West. After heavy snowfall in Colorado, experts are warning of high avalanche danger in the mountains. The Centennial State saw as much as 3 feet of snow in some places, and experts say the natural avalanche cycle has run its course, but one could still be easily triggered by humans. Officials warn that the slopes that may look the best to outdoor recreation enthusiasts may be some of the most dangerous after heavy snowfall. And all that mountain snow gave a big boost to the snowpack. This week, Colorado can expect more mild conditions, though. Our Denver team shows the outlook for the days ahead, plus the amount of snow the area received within the last week.
Hello from Denver, Colorado. I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin. And we have enjoyed a wonderful weekend storm. A storm that brought 1 to 2 feet of snow to the mountains. And then the storm moved out and we got to celebrate a big Broncos win on Sunday evening. Sunday was a chilly but sunny day in Denver, and we've had this big, bright, beautiful full moon to enjoy all weekend as well. And people have been sending in pictures of the snow, but also the moon. And our weather headlines include the addition of more mountain snowfall to our forecast. We have a series of short waves coming in on the northwest flow. That means more snow for, well, our state, which has been running well below average for snowpack, and in terms of the drought, an increased number of counties included in that drought because it's been a very dry winter so far. Now, with the system coming in that's bringing the mountain snow, unfortunately, it will also bring foothill winds. It could exceed 50 and 60 miles per hour. For Denver, a relatively calm few days, mild and dry. This system coming in on the northwest flow will bring light snow to the northern mountains today. Not enough that we have winter weather or travel advisories. It's really going to be all about the wind, which picks up, and again, some gusts that could exceed 60 miles per hour. So a high wind watch goes out tonight through Tuesday night, and this includes the spine of the Continental Divide and then right up into southeastern Wyoming. For Denver, we have a mostly sunny day, some passing high clouds. Again, you go west, you run into the foothill wind. You go north, and you're going to run into some snow. A couple inches of snow possible, but not a big impact. So there are no advisories for the snow or for travel with this first storm that's crossing the state today. In Denver, we start in the 30s and we warm to the lower 50s this afternoon. That will help to melt off some of the snow and ice from our storm last week. But basically a string of mild, dry days for us with above average temperatures. Thursday, 60 degrees, the warmest day of the week, and that's a day we have a chance of maybe seeing an isolated shower.
Well, happy Monday to you. I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team's Katie LaSalle. Colorado's ski resorts, our mountain towns, thankfully, finally rejoicing some good snowfall over the course of the weekend. Heavy snow, winter storm warnings, and we are still this Monday morning picking up some light snow shower activity in spots. But I want to take us back to Thursday. We were at around 40% of Colorado's median snowpack. We have really seen that percentage jump up around 30%, just updated as of December 8th this morning. 72% of our median Colorado snowpack, still below what we typically like to see this time of December, but boy, oh boy, it really made a difference to see 2 to even 3 feet of snowfall in spots here across our state. Up over Rabbit Ears Pass to the north, we picked up over 27 inches. Eldora, more than a foot. A lot of our Colorado ski resorts seeing some really great snowfall, helpful to open up more terrain because we aren't seeing a lot of it open for skiers and snowboarders here across the state. So our snowfall forecast as we look ahead for this week, we are not talking a lot of real heavy moisture for Colorado, but we will be picking up some brief snow shower activity through the course of this Monday and heading into tomorrow as well. A high wind watch with very gusty winds is really going to be the main weather headline for a big portion of the northern part of the state. Our northern Front Range mountains and foothills bracing for some extremely high winds. So with this system, wind gusts upwards of 70 miles per hour will be possible starting tonight through the day on Tuesday into early Wednesday morning. It is going to be unsettling, blustery, could even deal with some power outages, high winds, also downslipping across the foothills and then portions of the eastern plains. So up near Greeley, Fort Collins, the Denver metro area won't really see the impacts of really high winds, but just off to the west, it is going to be blustery for sure. Taking a look at our 7-day forecast, temperature-wise, Denver usually sees highs, that is, in the mid-40s. Today, 50s nearing 60 degrees, so warmer than average temperatures arrive. The winds will be the main weather headline through the middle of the week. Best chance for any moisture will be in the form of rain Thursday with a high of 60 degrees and staying relatively mild for the weekend as well. While the Northwest has that atmospheric river that's expected to bring heavy rain, the Southwest is preparing for warm and dry weather. Meteorologist Chris Dunn shows when temperatures are expected to peak, plus which days could break records.
I'm meteorologist Chris Dunn in Phoenix, Arizona, where the forecast is for sunshine and dry weather. You're dealing with the atmospheric river in the Pacific Northwest with boatloads of rain up there. But this strong high pressure ridge just off the west coast is diverting that storm track into Oregon and Washington and leaving Arizona and basically all of the Southwest high and dry. A cool and dry northwesterly flow for northern Arizona. So the north will be a little bit cooler down to the south, but with sunshine pretty much statewide. 71 Casa Grande, 74 in Phoenix, glorious sunshine. 77 along the Colorado River, Lake Havasu City, Bullhead City is 75. And in the high country of Arizona, 50s. 53 in Flagstaff, 54 Winslow, and 66 in Globe, 62 in Payson. So the rim country is kind of right in between the high country and the lower deserts. 74 sounds delightful in December. Sunset is at 5:20. That is the latest sunset, or I should say the earliest sunset of the year. Once we get into next week, the sun will start to go down a little bit later in the year, even as we approach the winter solstice. Temperatures in the 60s through noontime, 65 degrees, and into the 70s, low 70s by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So the valley will start to warm up well into the 70s. This warming trend continues Wednesday, Thursday, and into Friday. And we're looking at the possibility of some record heat. That in-between zone, the Mogollon Rim, 60s to right around 70 degrees by Thursday and into the low 70s by Friday. And in the mountain areas, 50s. Chilly starts in the morning with lows in the 20s to right around freezing in the morning for the Flagstaff area. 63 on Thursday. These numbers not quite enough to get to record territory, but certainly plenty warm for this time of the year. Sunny and mild, a high temp with 74 on this Monday. 50 for the overnight low, and we threw in a little scarf in there just in case because it is a little bit on the cool side for us. Record heat. Arizona stays dry as we look ahead. How about those records? Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I think this chunk of time is going to be the best opportunity for us to hit those records. We'll tie it on Friday, 79. Just shy of it on Saturday, and we'll tie another record on Sunday with a high of 78 degrees. And these numbers are 9, 10, even 13 degrees above the average for this time of the year. The average is 66 to 67 degrees. This high-pressure ridge really is not going anywhere anytime soon, so a persistence forecast will reign supreme across our state. This goes all the way through Friday. Not much change, and the precipitation outlook, 0. As we go into this time period, the 16th through the 22nd of December, drier than average and much warmer than average temperatures across all of the Southwest. Here's your Flagstaff 7-day forecast. 50s will transition into 60s by Wednesday, Thursday. Thursday will be the peak of the warmth with a high of 63. And unfortunately, no snow in the outlook, but you are able to make snow up on the ski hills in Arizona's high country. Valley 7-day forecast for the Phoenix area. Again, challenging a couple of records. Really spectacular December weather. 78 on Thursday, 79 on Friday and Saturday in the Valley of the Sun.
Still ahead, we'll have the forecast from Southern California and show you a new electric vehicle that could change the way we drive. Welcome back. One of the world's most active volcanoes is at it again. Check out this video from Hawaii's Kilauea volcano on Saturday. It erupted with a massive 1,000-foot lava fountain. The eruption destroyed a U.S. Geological Survey camera that was streaming live from the site. This event comes almost 1 year after Kilauea began its latest eruption period. Now back to our forecast. San Diego is looking at more sunshine this week with Santa Ana winds pushing temperatures above normal. Meteorologist Vanessa Paz breaks down when things might start to cool off.
Happy Monday from San Diego, California. I'm CBS 8 meteorologist Vanessa Paz. Hope you all had a beautiful weekend. As we take a look at some of your weather headlines approaching the start of a new work week, we will have periods of offshore winds, also known as Santa Anas, and that will bring in warm conditions along with a ridge of high pressure kind of just sitting stagnant over the southwest. That's also going to warm things up with temperatures peaking Tuesday anywhere between 10 to nearly 20 degrees normal at times. As we take a look towards the end of the week, we will have relief. We just have to be patient towards Thursday and Friday. We are looking at a drop in temperatures heading into next weekend. Here's what I'm looking at in terms of daytime highs today versus where we should be for this time of year. We should typically see mostly mid to high 60s across our most populated neighborhoods, stretching from the coast to the inland valleys. But take a look at what's on tap for today's highs. Downtown San Diego, Chula Vista, as well as Vista will be in the 70s, and we'll even see some 80s out there for spots like El Cajon, Ramona, 67 in Palomar Mountain. Mountain, low 80s out in Borrego Springs. As we take a look at overnight lows, despite really warm days, we're still looking at pretty brisk nights, so keep that in mind. Maybe have sport activities that take place during those sundown hours or any dinner plans outside. Layer up, because we are going to see those overnight lows dropping into the 50s, low 50s for the valley floors. As we take a look at our wind gust futurecast here and fast forward to overnight, that's when we'll have some of the strongest winds. You want to pay attention to the color contour, and we see those kind of reddish colors indicating 30 to 35 mile per hour gusts. They'll subside a little bit looking ahead to Tuesday, but notice how we still have that easterly flow drying things out. And when we mix in those dry conditions along with those really warm temperatures, we are looking at the increased risk for fire danger. But the good news is November was an unusually wet month, so that certainly helped in terms of saturating our vegetation. As we take a look at highs for tomorrow, as I mentioned, the heat will peak Tuesday afternoon, and then temperatures will slowly drop. But even by the end of the week, we'll still be trending above normal. So we have mostly mid to low 80s on tap for those neighborhoods that stretch across the 15 corridor, closer to the coastal areas where you typically find relief. It will still be warm out there also, anywhere between the mid to high 70s from Oceanside all the way down to Del Mar, downtown San Diego, close to that 80-degree mark. I know a lot of people are wondering, are we ever going to see rain over the next 7 days? It looks like the chance is slim to none. But notice how the chance actually starts to slightly rise a little bit looking ahead to next Tuesday, all due to an incoming storm that could potentially drop south and bring us some precipitation. But as of right now, the chances look very slim. So as we take a look at that ridge of high pressure, notice how it's going to continue to kind of hover over Southern California all the way through the end of the week. And then we'll have a series of storms, including atmospheric rivers, kind of sweep on by to our north. But overall, it looks like the storm track will stay well towards the north in the Pacific Northwest and Canada, British Columbia. As we take a look at the coast and inland valleys, as we take a look at tomorrow's highs, again, it's going to be very warm. Make sure that if you have any outdoor plans, that you're staying hydrated, taking frequent breaks in the shade. We'll see about a 5-degree drop in daytime highs come towards the end of the week with some of the coolest days looking ahead to next weekend. As we take a look at the mountains and deserts over the next 7 days, remember the days are going to be quite warm, but the overnight lows are still going to be quite cool in the 40s, especially for the mountain areas. We'll be topping out in the mid 80s all the way through Friday for the desert areas, dropping about 5 degrees or so by the time we get to next weekend.
Imagine a vehicle that powers itself. No gas, no plug-in, just sunshine. A Carlsbad startup says they've built just that, and now, as Brian White reports, the company is gearing up for the long road to mass produce it.
Yeah, the first thing you notice about this vehicle is just how different it looks, and that's intentional. Aptera says every curve is designed to squeeze more miles out of the sun. And once you climb inside, you really get a sense of how this lightweight design works.
And the promise behind this unusual shape, a vehicle that runs literally on sunshine.
The solar panels on the hood, the dash, the roof, and the tail give you about 40 miles of power production a day.
And the electric battery can give you up to 400 miles. It's classified as a 3-wheeled motorcycle, and its curved fish-like design plays a huge role in its efficiency.
Cambered body means it kicks up in the back so it can slip through the air with the least amount of resistance possible. It has outboard wheels, so there's less disturbance to the air in general.
Inside Aptera's Carlsbad facility, technicians are building lightweight solar panels, battery packs, and the first validation vehicles that will go through rigorous road and crash testing.
Validation vehicles are really to prove out the design and how the design goes together on the manufacturing floor.
Aptera says it's starting with a small run of 10 vehicles, then plans to ramp up production in 2026. The company just went public on the NASDAQ, giving it new funding to gear up for manufacturing.
It's awesome. We have almost 50,000 orders for the vehicle, so we want to start delivering vehicles here in Southern California and then hopefully all around the world soon.
Despite the sleek, compact look, the Aptera has room for gear and overnight trips.
You can put a couple mountain bikes back there, a couple surfboards. You can actually camp in the back of the Aptera if you lift the rear hatch.
0 to 60 in about 5 seconds and a top speed of 100 miles an hour. The launch edition Aptera will cost around 40 grand.
Yeah, Aptera is the cleanest, greenest vehicle you can possibly have. You're getting free wireless charging from the sky every day. You're not burning any fossil fuels.
With production now moving forward, the company hopes you'll see these on Southern California roads as early as next year. Brian White, CBS 8.
Cooler temperatures are packing a punch in Sacramento with early season snow and rain as well. Our team in Northern California brings the latest on the cool and damp conditions and the expected dry stretch ahead.
Hello, I'm meteorologist Rob Carmark here with the forecast for Northern California on this Monday where, out here, things have just been very weird lately. We've had lots of cold temperatures, and it's not unusual, for a couple days. You get some cold weather, and then you start to warm up. It's just been consistently pretty cold around here. I'll show you the calendar. I'll show you all the things, but it's just been cold and damp. But it's been very different weather up high. Up high, once you get above a couple thousand feet, there's a layer of clouds, and then above that, it's been sunny and actually not too bad. It's just been dry. And that's the problem is that, we've got ski season that is going here, but they're just barely open. They're making snow. They want a lot more, and we're just kind of easing into a very long duration dry stretch after some really good numbers for rain and even actually snow early season. I just want to point out something that happened this last Friday. The high in places like Sacramento was 45 degrees. That was the high for the day. You may think, well, that's not that bad. It's kind of cold. Who cares? In the middle of the day, that's a big deal for the Central Valley of California. In fact, the last day we saw a daytime high at 45 was more than 1,000 days ago, back in 2022, and that December 21st was among one of the shortest days of the year. So that was truly exceptional. And then over the weekend, we had a pair of 46s. So it's just been cold. It's been great. And like I mentioned, it's been damp. We've had some rain in the bucket, but now a couple places are starting to slip behind. Eureka and Redding, which are usually places that get a lot of rain, even early season rain, they're actually below average right now, and many other places are in danger of doing that after another week or so of dry weather. It's a little faint, but this is the rough outline of where the fog sets up. This is lower elevations, and then this is the Sierra. This is the coastal range. These are these mountains that will peak up above that, so it's only a lower elevation situation. By the way, this is a La Nina year, and it just doesn't give us too many clues. We're thinking maybe we're getting close to above average rain in the Pacific Northwest. We're actually thinking over the season it might be a little bit above average, but so far it's not really panning out that way. Sure, maybe the dryness is one thing, but overall, we're just watching the fog each and every day. So here we go through Monday at noon. Notice that it still hasn't cleared, and that green indicates that embedded in that, it's so thick that it's also producing this misty haze that gets everything wet. There's potential between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. that this is going to clear out. We'll get a little bit of sunshine, but then it comes back again for tomorrow. And that's going to be the case each and every day. Fog in the morning. If it clears, you're in the 50s or even the 60s, like the foothills. If it doesn't, you're going to remain in the 40s. So this is going to be all across Northern California. Even the central portion of California down to Bakersfield still has to deal with this fog. You get to the coast, it's in the 70s. So it's a very seasonally dependent microclimate. It's all about the sunshine. Again, if you can get some sunshine, 50s and 60s. If you don't, you remain in the 40s all day long. It really is like something filtering out the sunshine. If you don't have sunshine, you don't have anything that actually can warm you up, and that's where you remain. So across this entire week, you'll find your warmest temperatures actually up high, not down low. And going forward here, it's all about the 50s, hopefully showing up by tomorrow with more sunshine.
To fake tree or not to fake tree, it's a debate every holiday season. We'll show you which one comes out on top for the environment coming up next. As families start decorating for the holidays, one question comes up every year. Should you buy a real tree or a fake tree? And which one is really better for the environment? Megan Bragg from our sister station in North Carolina takes a closer look.
Our sources for this, the National Christmas Tree Association and Carbon Trust. Let's start with real trees. They are nature's carbon absorbers. According to the National Christmas Tree Association, 25 to 30 million Christmas trees are sold in the U.S. every year. For every tree harvested, 3 more are planted in the spring. When recycled, turn into mulch or compost, they can be a zero waste solution. However, if real trees end up in the landfills, they decompose and release methane. Transport emissions from shipping trees over long distances can also add to their carbon footprint. On the other hand, artificial trees made from PVC and metal are built to last for years, but their production and transportation come with high environmental costs. According to the Carbon Trust, artificial trees have a large carbon footprint due to energy-intensive manufacturing processes. To offset this, you'd need to use the same tree for at least 10 years. If you want to get rid of your fake tree, consider donating it to a local charity or secondhand store. So what's the verdict? The choice between a real or fake Christmas tree depends on how you use and dispose of it. If you keep your artificial tree for more than 10 years, it may be an environmentally conscious option. However, for most people, the Carbon Trust recommends a real tree, especially if it's sourced locally and recycled after use. With your Verified, I'm Megan Brown.
That does it for us here on Weather Out West. I'm Savannah Welch. Thank you so much for being with us today. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.